Hey everyone, Token Dave over here. Dorky Token Black Guy just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of First Attack. Here I give my thoughts on the pilot or first episode of a new TV series. Keep in mind that the views that I'm expressing are not a reflection of the series or season as a whole. This is just my immediate reaction to how well the pilot or first episode stands on its own. When I was a kid, when I started reading comic books, my dad was making sure that I would end up reading comic books with black superheroes. He made sure that I knew who Black Panther was. He made sure that I read Black Panther. He also made sure that I knew who Luke Cage was, and I read Luke Cage. And then he made sure that I knew who Storm was, Monica Rambeau was, and as well as Falcon. He made sure I knew all these black heroes. So, it's a bit of a shock that he didn't introduce me to Black Lightning, because I have never read a Black Lightning comic at all. The only thing that I know about Black Lightning is one of his daughters is a superhero, in The Outsiders, which I'll talk about later on. So, with that in mind, mild spoilers ahead. So, well, one mild spoiler and everything, which I will address later on in this video. So, without further ado, let me give my thoughts on the first episode of Black Lightning. So, Jefferson Pierce is the principal of Garfield High School, a private high school for black kids. Now, the town that he lives in, which I don't remember the name of the town, is being overrun by crime, particularly from the 100 gang. And it also doesn't help that the police force are kind of weak in not only combating the 100 gang, but the police force themselves are actually overtly harsh on the black citizens as well. Well, one night, one of Jefferson's daughters decides to go to a club, and when she goes to the club, she actually attracts the attention of one of the 100 gang members, and basically now the 100 gang is gunning after Jefferson's daughters, and Jefferson feels that he has to put the Black Lightning suit back on after being retired for 9 years and try to become the savior of his town yet again. So I'm very mixed on this particular pilot. Let me talk about the bad things first and foremost. So, number one, even though they talk about it, and we see a glimpse here and there, we don't really feel the desperation from the people themselves. We focus more on the 100 gang members and Jefferson Pierce, whom is basically a well-off African American living in the suburbs. So you don't really get that desperation or that grip of fear that the average citizen has. So that's a bit of a problem because it's just you show the very extremes of the black community, which is something that movies and the media always do. Number one. Number two, I really hate to say this, but this show was a little too preachy, with quoting, either civil rights leaders or basically people from black history. And I'm sorry, but, most people don't do that. Only out of touch, uppity black folk that are well off do that a lot. So, it's great that they want to display that these people have some sense of history and to try to understand, to use those lessons to adopt them, but it's a little heavy-handed. So, yeah. And one thing, one of the characters in here decides to go to a protest to protest against a gang. You don't protest a gang. You protest, politicians, you protest against police. What you protest is basically an established form of government, a governmental branch or a governmental body. That's what you protest. You don't protest a gang because you know what you have. You know what happens when you protest a gang? You get killed right on spot. Just saying. So those are my complaints about the episode. What are the good parts? Number one, you had some awesome guest stars with State Senator Nina Turner, former State Senator of Ohio, and you had a great cameo from Roland Martin, whose show just got canceled a month ago, which is ridiculous, but that's something for another day, you know. So you had two great cameos from two current and relevant black voices in politics and the media. All right, number one. Number two, you unlike most things, you really got a decent sense of family from Jefferson. Despite him being estranged from his ex-wife, you could tell that they both still really, really love each other, and you could tell that if it wasn't for Jefferson being Black Lightning, they would still be married. Because, let's be honest, no person wants to see their loved one put themselves in danger when they don't have to. And they don't usually want to see their loved one hurt. So that was understandable. And I really love the family dynamic between Jefferson's family, where Jefferson himself, the patriarch, you have Aisha Jefferson, the oldest daughter that's like on the cusp of graduating, and the younger daughter, Jennifer, Jennifer Pierce, which, all right, mild spoiler, so stop right now, for a few seconds. But it's very interesting. I really like that at the end of the episode, you see that Aisha actually inherits some of her father's powers. Because Aisha is a metahuman known by the name Thunder from The Outsiders. So it was nice that we're going to see her probably evolve into this later in the series. All right? Spoiler has ended. Okay? So that's another good thing. The action sequences are actually done fairly well. Now, some might say it's a little too cartoony and a little too over the top. Number one, it's a superhero show. What the hell were you expecting? All right. Number two, I really enjoy how basically, not Wendell. I keep saying Wendell Pierce, because Wendell Pierce is one of my favorite actors too. Anyway, one of the things that I really love is that Jefferson is really the reluctant hero, and he's reluctant not because he doesn't want to do anything. It's just because he wants to make sure he keeps his family safe because, it's not just about his life, it's about his family, But by the same token, it shows the interesting contrast that most African Americans have, especially when you're in a state of basically being well off or in a state of power because, while you're trying to protect your family, you actually end up being fogged in the idea that you could just protect your family. Where if you're an affluent African American, you really can't view it that way. You have to view itself as when you protect your community, you're protecting your family, which is awesome. And another awesome thing is that we have James Remar in here. I love James Remar. I loved him in The Warriors. I loved him in 48 Hours. I loved him when I watched Dexter. I was happy to see that he was Dexter's father. And I also love seeing him in some of the other movies he did, particularly The Phantom. So just to let you know, James Remar in this is not his first superhero rodeo. So seeing him is awesome. So we have a show that's basically, despite being a little uneven and, a little heavy-handed, at displaying some of the social anxieties, but it's important that it is, despite this, we have great action, great characters, and character interactions. In addition, the music is very relevant for the time. While I personally feel the music sucks because modern rap is terrible and everything, it's still it really gives a feel that basically we are in the African American community or the black community in the United States. So, and it's nice to have a decent black hero on TV as a more positive symbol. So with that all out the way, I'll have to say that the Black Lightning pilot is a stunner or a stunning blow. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.